Hey crafters, in this tutorial I'll be explaining the contour tool. This really is an amazing tool within Design Space, so if you're not already using it, you really must start. It's a very quick and efficient way of finessing your projects. Let me show you 3 different ways in which you might use it. The first, let's take a look at this flower I've got here. I'm just going to make a copy of it. If I wanted to remove one of these petals, one way of doing it would be to grab a shape, let's say this circle, resize it to try and cover just the petal that I want to remove, highlight both shapes and do a slice. But you can see that took quite a few steps and it will be difficult to remove that one petal that I'm looking at. So a more precise and much quicker way of doing this would be to use the contour tool. So you can click on the contour icon in the bottom right and the window will open. The first thing to note is that I have placed my images on the canvas on the lower half for when I'm going to contour. This will allow me to be able to see the image on the canvas as I make changes here in the contour window. I find that quite useful to be able to see visually what exactly is happening to my image. The second thing to note is that when you open the contour window, it's always at some random zoom level. So to get back to 100%, just click here and it will take you back to 100%. So here you can see the flower image, it matches what's on the canvas. To remove that top petal, the only thing you have to do is hover over it, and you can see as I hover over different parts of the flower, they're turning a darker shade of grey. So once you've got the section you want to remove, you just click on it, and if you saw there on the canvas, that petal has disappeared. See, I've put it back on and now it's gone. So you can see how that was such a quick way of making changes and edits to your images. Now in the contour window, you can turn cut lines on or off by either clicking on the image here in this large window or over here on the right hand side where each individual cut line is shown. Now this you'll find more useful when you're contouring something which has lots of small intricate details that will be harder to see here on the contour window. And one thing I'll point out is I have found that sometimes when I'm contouring something with very intricate details, hovering over with the mouse doesn't exactly get you to that part of the image. You sort of have to hover a bit to the side or above. And that's when this menu is especially useful because you don't have to worry about getting your mouse in the precise position. So there you are, that's how you can use contour as an alternative to slice. Now let's see how we can use contour as an alternative to weld. Let's say with this second flower image I've got, I want to remove some of the detail and maybe I don't want these outside petals to have this cut through section in the middle. You could fill these in by, again, grabbing a shape, say a circle. Let's just make a copy of this. And resizing your circle, covering the section that you want to fill in, and then welding everything together. But you can see that's not very precise and it's difficult to cover just the section that you want. So a much better way of doing that is to contour. So again, image at the bottom of the canvas, click on the contour tool, click here to get to 100, and simply hover again over the area you wish to remove and click. And see down here, it's now been filled in. So much quicker than attempting to weld a shape over this area. And you could just work your way around, remove any sections of detail that you don't want. So that's how you can use contour as an alternative to weld. The final use for contour that I want to show you is I always use contour as a quick check before I make anything, especially when I'm using a font which I have downloaded and uploaded into Design Space. So for example, I was working with this font on a recent project, and after welding it together, I had a quick check on the contour. Getting back to 100, and you can see that whilst on the canvas this word looks completely fine, here within the contour window you can see there are all these sort of random cut lines in the middle of the letters, and I think this is because the font itself was meant to be more like a brushstroke kind of font. So if it was to be printed, then these details would look like the brush strokes. But we don't want that when we are working with vinyl because, something as small as this little circle here, that's only going to cut and look odd, like it's a hole or, an accidental cut in your vinyl. So you'd want to contour these all away. Obviously, the ideal is to use a font where this doesn't happen, but once you've got to this point in a project, you may not want to start again with a new font. So just come in here and check. And as I mentioned earlier, with these details, they're so small, the easiest way to remove them is to find them here in this menu on the right hand side and click and just remove them that way. So there you have it, that is the contour tool explained. I hope this was useful. Let me know in the comments if there are any other questions that you have about contour or any other topics in general on Design Space or Cricut that you'd like me to address. But until my next video, happy crafting!